There is a powerful truth that often goes unrecognized until it's too late. The quietest movements in life often produce the loudest results. Chosen one, you are living proof of this. For years, you've been underestimated, dismissed, and even ridiculed for your silence, your patience, and your refusal to follow the same chaotic path that others seem to walk with ease. People looked at you and thought they knew your story. Maybe they even laughed at the way you chose to remain still, as though your stillness signified weakness. But what they didn't realize, what they couldn't see in those moments, was that your stillness wasn't a sign of defeat, it was your strategy. They thought you were just like everyone else, a mere competitor in their little game. They mocked your every move, believed that your patience was your defeat, and treated your growth as something small, something insignificant. But what they didn't know was that while they were busy focusing on the noise, you were busy perfecting your silence. You weren't caught in the distractions of gossip, envy, or empty chatter. You were quietly preparing for the moment when all of your efforts would reveal the truth. They never understood the magnitude of what you were becoming. Now, as the universe has aligned, as your journey unfolds into something monumental, you've reached the point where your longtime opponent, someone who once saw you as a mere footnote in their story, can no longer deny what's happening. They've stood by, watched, and waited, expecting you to falter, to give up, to somehow prove them right. But instead, what they are seeing now is something far beyond their comprehension. You've transformed. You've risen, and their understanding of what it means to compete, to succeed, has been shattered. You've made them feel like an unworthy opponent, and the reason why will surprise you. The story they built in their head about your downfall has come crashing down, and in its place they are now left standing in awe of the person you've become. The reason why they feel so unworthy, so inadequate in comparison to you, is not just because of what you've achieved, but because of who you've become in the process. It's not just the fruit you've harvested, it's the tree you've grown into, a tree so strong that their attempts to mock or belittle you no longer even touch you. They can't understand it because they never prepared for the kind of evolution that you've undergone. They've spent their time planning to outdo you, yet all the while you've been quietly preparing to outgrow them. This chosen one is the essence of your power. You are not where you are by coincidence, nor is your success a mere stroke of luck. You've had to face your doubts, your struggles, your fears, all of which you've turned into lessons, not burdens. Every time you stumbled, you got back up. Every time you were knocked down, you used the fall to push yourself higher. You didn't just endure, you evolved. And now standing in front of you is an opponent who spent years mocking you, thinking that you would never rise above the noise, the criticism, the rejection. But the truth is, they've only now realized that they were never competing with you. They were simply watching the slow burning evolution of someone they couldn't fathom. And when that moment comes, when they see the full scope of your transformation, it's not their pride that's wounded, it's their entire belief system about success, about power, and about resilience. Think about this for a moment. How often do we see people who seem to have it all together, only to realize that it was all performance? That they were building something on the surface but never truly investing in the depth of their journey. There's a reason why the loudest people often end up with the smallest legacies. Their actions are reactions. They chase validation. They crave attention. But you, chosen one, you've been building something that needs no applause. Your results speak for themselves. You've moved through this journey in silence, not because you didn't have a voice, but because you understood the true meaning of power. Power doesn't shout. It doesn't beg. It doesn't seek approval. Power simply is. And now the enemy who once saw you as easy prey, as someone to be dismissed or laughed at, is standing before you with a shock that they can't quite shake. They thought they knew you. They thought they had you figured out. But they never realized that your patience wasn't weakness. It was your preparation. They never understood that your silence wasn't compliance. It was strategy. They never grasped that your setbacks weren't signs of failure, they were the very building blocks of your success. You've spent years growing, even when no one was watching, and now the fruits of that growth are undeniable. The game has shifted, and they never saw it coming. You've outgrown the battlefield they thought was the only stage. You were never in competition with them to begin with. You were quietly stacking your growth, your knowledge, your resilience, while they were distracted by their own egos. They thought they were playing a game with you, but the truth is they were never even on the same map. They didn't see the shift happening until it was too late. They thought they could keep mocking you, keep underestimating you, because they didn't understand what was being cultivated behind the scenes. But now, as they try to step back into the arena to face you once again, they see something terrifying. They don't recognize the person standing in front of them. They don't recognize you because you've become someone who cannot be defeated by the same tactics that once worked. And here's the truth, chosen one. It wasn't luck that got you to this point. It wasn't fate or mere coincidence. It was your unwavering consistency. The world may have laughed at your patience, but now they see that it wasn't patience, it was a master plan unfolding. You kept walking when everyone else told you to stop. You kept building when they told you to quit. And now, as your opponent looks at you, all they can see is proof. Proof that patience and consistency are far more powerful than anything they ever believed. They've spent years believing that they could outlast you. Now they realize they've been playing catch-up from the start. The reason why they now feel like an unworthy opponent isn't just because you've surpassed them, it's because you've evolved into something they never prepared for. Your silence wasn't defeat. It was evolution, and that chosen one is why they can no longer stand in your shadow. What's coming next will show them exactly why they can't even compete with you anymore. They've tried to match your energy. They've tried to steal your shine, but the reality is they were never meant to keep up with you. And the sooner they accept that, the sooner they will realize that it's not personal, it's simply physics. You've reached a place that they can't reach, and they will never understand how you did it. Because you didn't play by their rules, you rewrote the entire game. There was a time, chosen one, when your silence was not only misunderstood, but it was also mocked. The world around you, full of its noise and chaos, looked at your quiet perseverance and assumed it was weakness. How many times did you hear the whispers? How often did you face the eyes that sized you up, dismissed your every move, and thought you were incapable of achieving greatness simply because you chose to remain still? They didn't see the fire within you. They didn't understand that your silence wasn't a lack of action, but a calculated step toward a greater purpose. You were often the subject of ridicule, the one who didn't speak up, the one who didn't argue, the one who didn't engage in the petty games of others. And yet the very thing that they thought was your flaw was actually the thing that would ultimately propel you toward greatness. Your silence was never a symbol of defeat. It was the sound of something far more powerful brewing beneath the surface. It was the calm before the storm. While they laughed at your stillness, you were busy gathering the strength that would carry you to places they could never reach. Your patience was not passive, it was active. Every moment you spent in quiet contemplation, every step you took without the need for validation, was a strategic move that would eventually outlast their noise. They couldn't see it then, and maybe even now they still don't understand what your silence truly represented. But you knew. You knew that in this world, people often mistake patience for weakness, underestimating the power of someone who is quietly building something substantial. You weren't standing still. You were gathering. You were accumulating knowledge, experience, wisdom, and fortitude, all of which were hidden from the eyes of those who chose to mock you. You understood that real growth doesn't always come with loud declarations. Sometimes it takes place in the quiet moments, in the unseen hours, in the solitude, where the seeds are planted and the foundation is laid. While they were distracted by shallow assumptions, you were quietly stacking bricks one at a time, building the tower that would eventually surpass them. In a world obsessed with immediate results, where people are quick to chase after the next shiny thing, your greatest weapon became the simplest and most effective tool: consistency. Where others faltered, chasing after fleeting distractions, you remained steadfast. You stayed focused on your long-term goals. You didn't need the applause or instant gratification. You didn't need to prove anything to anyone. You knew that success doesn't come from sporadic bursts of effort. It's the product of steady, relentless consistency. Studies show that those who face long-term setbacks and yet persist in their efforts often outperform early winners by a significant margin. The National Bureau of Economic Research found that people who maintain consistency and continue despite obstacles are often the ones who rise to the top in the long run. They may not shine brightly at first, but their unwavering determination, their steady effort over time leads them to a place that others who came out of the gate strong can never reach. You chosen one were exactly this kind of person. You faced setbacks. You dealt with challenges that made others question whether you could keep going. They mocked you for being patient, thinking you were just drifting along waiting for something to happen. But the truth is, you were planting seeds. You were cultivating your craft, honing your skills, and preparing for the day when those seeds would finally bear fruit. While others laughed at your quiet moments, you were stacking achievements that they would eventually have to recognize. The world loves instant success. It loves to celebrate the loud victories, the flashy milestones, the dramatic triumphs. But you were never after quick recognition. You were after something far more valuable: lasting success. And lasting success doesn't come from shouting about your achievements before they're ready to be recognized. It comes from working quietly, building your foundation, and letting your results speak for themselves. You understood that greatness isn't always about the noise you make. It's about the growth that happens when no one is watching. While your enemies were distracted by gossip and noise, you were quietly growing. They were too busy talking, too busy being caught up in their own egos to notice the evolution happening right before their eyes. They didn't see you outgrowing the small battles they were still fighting. They didn't realize that your patience wasn't just a waiting game, it was a mastery of time. Every moment you spent quietly refining yourself was a step closer to surpassing them. You weren't in competition with them. You were in competition with the version of yourself that needed to evolve. And that's exactly what you did. It's fascinating, isn't it? How quickly people are willing to underestimate someone based on the surface. Your enemies never saw the full extent of your growth. They didn't understand the strength that was quietly building within you. To them, you were just the person they had once mocked, the one they assumed would always be there to ridicule, always there to challenge. They had no idea that you were outgrowing them, that the very things they criticized were the things that would ultimately make you stronger. As you continued to evolve in silence, your enemies remained in their limited understanding of you. They never saw what was coming. They kept thinking you were just a fleeting moment, a blip on the radar, something that would soon fade away. They didn't know that you were in the process of becoming something unstoppable. Every time they laughed at your setbacks, every time they mocked your silence, they were inadvertently giving you the fuel you needed to push forward. They never realized that each jab, each insult was just fertilizer for your growth. The real shock came when they tried to face you again. They thought they could return and find the same old you, weak, struggling, and vulnerable. But what they found instead was someone who had grown too powerful for them to challenge. The game had changed, and they were no longer on the same playing field as you. Your transformation had been so profound, so thorough, that they couldn't keep up. They thought they could still defeat you with their old tactics, but what they didn't understand was that you had outgrown the game they were still playing. They thought they had you figured out, but what they didn't account for was your evolution. You had become too powerful for them to match, and now they were left grappling with the reality that you had moved beyond the scope of their understanding. Their insults, their mockery, their assumptions, they all fell away when faced with the truth of who you had become. The very thing they thought would break you had actually been the catalyst for your transformation. They were too busy laughing at your silence, not realizing it was the calm before the storm. And now that storm had arrived, and they were left standing in its wake. Your growth was never meant for them to see at first. It was always meant to unfold when the time was right, when the moment had come for you to step into your power. And now, as they face you, they are forced to reckon with the realization that they were never your opponent. They were your audience. They spent years watching, underestimating, and mocking you, only to find themselves facing someone they couldn't defeat. They thought they knew what they were up against, but they never saw you coming. The transformation you've undergone, chosen one, was never meant to be loud or obvious. It was meant to be quiet, slow, and steady building with precision and intention. Your patience, your consistency, and your ability to remain focused despite the distractions of the world are the very qualities that make you unstoppable. The world mocked you for your silence, not understanding that it was your secret weapon. While they were distracted by their own noise, you were stacking achievements, preparing for the moment when your growth would no longer be deniable. Your enemies underestimated you because they couldn't see the depth of your growth. They couldn't comprehend the evolution that was happening beneath the surface. But now, as they face you once more, they realize that they've been left behind. The game has changed, and they can no longer compete with someone who has outgrown them at every level. What they mistook for weakness was actually your greatest strength. What they laughed at was the foundation of your power. And now they are left with nothing but the bitter realization that they were never truly your opponents to begin with. You have become something they cannot match, and that is why they feel unworthy now. Because they've seen what you've become, and they know deep down they never stood a chance. Psychological warfare, the real reason for the opponent's insecurity. There's a profound truth about human nature. Nothing exposes a person's deepest insecurities like their inability to defeat someone they once thought they could easily control. Chosen one, it wasn't just your success that rattled your opponent. It was the humiliation they felt when they realized that everything they had ever believed about you was wrong. You weren't just another challenge to overcome. You weren't the weak target they'd once pegged you for. The moment they truly understood what they were up against, they were struck by a psychological pain that, quite frankly, they were never prepared to endure. They never saw it coming. The same opponent who once thought they had the upper hand in this battle now found themselves caught in a web of their own making. Their insecurities festered as their past underestimation of you became a constant reminder of their failure to acknowledge the true depth of your potential. And here's the kicker. The humiliation they felt wasn't just the sting of defeat. It was the searing pain of their own underestimation. The real psychological blow isn't when an enemy is simply defeated. It's when they realize that the person they once mocked and dismissed has grown into something they can never hope to reach. The shame they felt wasn't a simple loss of face. It was the realization that their arrogance and pride had blinded them to the very qualities that made you dangerous. Every insult they threw at you, every time they laughed at your silence, was now turned into a mirror reflecting their own weakness. They never expected to see you rise above the noise. They never believed you had it in you to surpass them. But you did, and that hurt them in a way they couldn't anticipate. There's a concept in psychology known as cognitive dissonance, which explains how people experience discomfort when their beliefs clash with reality. In the case of your opponent, their belief system that you were weak, that you would fail, was shattered the moment they realized you had not only succeeded but had done so in a way that made them irrelevant. The deeper pain comes from knowing that the narrative they had built about you was not only false, but that they had participated in it. Humiliation in this case becomes self-inflicted. Their defeat didn't just expose your power, it revealed their own failure to see it. This isn't just psychological warfare. It's a battle of perception. They never expected you to evolve into someone who could no longer be touched by their words, their insults, or their mockery. And that realization, the fact that they are now the ones left in your wake struggling to comprehend how you surpassed them, creates a discomfort they can't shake. They thought they were the ones in control of the narrative, but in the end it was your actions, your consistency, and your silent growth that rewrote the story. The evolution of your relationship with your enemy has been a fascinating shift. What started as a direct competition, a battle for dominance, has now transformed into something far more profound. They were no longer your opponent. They became your audience. They once positioned themselves as the one who would defeat you, the one who would prove their superiority. But as you rose, as you outgrew them, they found themselves no longer on the battlefield, but simply watching from the sidelines, helpless to stop what was happening. This is the true irony of your journey, chosen one. They came for a fight, but what they received was a front-row seat to your transformation. Their mockery, their insults, their doubts, all of it became the very fuel that propelled you forward. They thought they were pushing you down, but in reality, they were inadvertently lifting you higher. Every laugh, every sneer, every judgment was another brick in the foundation of your strength. They never realized that their negativity, their attempt to keep you small, was actually turning into the momentum that would launch you into something greater. The more they underestimated you, the more they mocked your quiet journey, the more determined you became. And in their attempt to belittle you, they ended up becoming witnesses to your growth. They thought they were observing a failure. What they failed to see was that they were watching the birth of someone unstoppable. This shift from being an opponent to becoming an audience is one of the most profound moments in the Chosen One's journey. It's not just about surpassing them in strength or skill. It's about showing them that their entire perception of you was wrong. They thought they were your adversary, but they were never in the fight. They were just the background noise that you drowned out with your silence and consistency. And now, as you stand tall, having evolved beyond them, they are left staring at the results of their own miscalculations. They thought they were your opposition, but they were nothing more than the fuel that powered your rise. And the most ironic part, they're still stuck in the same mindset, trying to understand how you managed to get ahead while they stayed in the same place. The moment they realized they were no longer competing with you, they understood the harsh truth: you had already left them behind. Now they are left watching you from a distance, unable to touch you, unable to comprehend the force you've become. Perhaps the most significant shift in your journey, Chosen One, has been your evolution from someone who reacted to insults and challenges to someone who simply executed their plans with quiet power. In the early stages of your story, you might have been tempted to defend yourself, to explain your actions, to react to every slight or criticism. But the true power came when you stopped reacting altogether. You stopped allowing your enemies to dictate the pace of your life. You stopped allowing their words to define your reality. Instead, you turned your energy inward, focused on your own growth, and let your results speak for themselves. This is where you evolved from simply surviving to truly thriving. The shift from reaction to action is not just a change in how you respond to challenges, it's a transformation in your entire mindset. You stopped wasting energy on the noise. You stopped giving your enemies the power to dictate your emotions. Instead, you began to focus solely on the work, on the creation of your own success. And as you did, your enemies were left behind in a fog of confusion, trying to figure out why their words no longer had the same effect on you. Your silence, once seen as a weakness, became your greatest strength. It was in that silence that you did your most powerful work. Every moment you spent focusing on your goals, every hour you spent quietly honing your skills was another step in your evolution. You weren't just reacting to the world around you. You were actively shaping it. While your enemies were still stuck in the past, trying to pull you back to their level, you were creating a future that they couldn't even imagine. You didn't just compete with them anymore. You stopped seeing them as your rivals because you realized that your path was uniquely your own. The moment you stopped engaging in their petty games and started focusing solely on your purpose, everything changed. Your results, your growth, your success became the undeniable proof of your power. And what's even more powerful, you didn't need to shout about it. You didn't need to announce your achievements or demand validation. Your silence became your strategy. Your results became your proof. You let the work speak for itself. And that's when everything shifted. The world could no longer ignore you. Your growth became so undeniable that it was impossible for anyone to pretend they didn't see it. They could no longer mock you because they saw the living, breathing evidence of your evolution in every success, every achievement, every milestone you reached. The transformation you've undergone, Chosen One, is one of profound power. What started as a journey of silence and patience has now become a testament to the strength that arises from consistent growth. Your enemies who once underestimated you are now left in the dust, unable to comprehend how you've surpassed them in ways they never imagined. They came for a fight, but they were never prepared for the quiet force that would rise within you. They thought they were your competitors, but they were simply the catalysts that pushed you to become something greater than they could ever conceive. Your journey wasn't just about defeating your enemies. It was about outgrowing them, evolving beyond the need for their validation, and letting your results do the talking. You turned their insults into fuel, their mockery into motivation, and their doubt into determination. And now, as they stand in awe of your transformation, they realize the truth: you were never in competition with them. You were always competing with yourself, growing, evolving, and becoming the person they could never defeat. You didn't need to argue. You didn't need to explain. You didn't need to prove anything to anyone. You simply kept moving forward, and in doing so, you became undeniable. Your silence, once perceived as weakness, became the foundation for your success. Your evolution wasn't just a victory over them, it was a victory over yourself. And that's the kind of success that lasts. Now, as your enemies watch from the sidelines, they are left to confront their own shortcomings. They've realized that they were never your opponent. They were just the backdrop to your story. And as your growth continues, they'll never be able to catch up, because the path you've walked is one that only a chosen one could have traveled. It's a rare and extraordinary moment when a person becomes so completely and undeniably evolved that their very presence alters the landscape of their surroundings. Chosen one, that moment is here for you. The tides have shifted, and your former enemy, once so sure of their superiority, once so confident in their mockery and judgment, now stands powerless in the face of your growth. Every attempt they made to keep you down, to reduce you to something lesser, has backfired in ways they can never undo. You have outgrown them in every conceivable way, chosen one. They thought they were playing a game with you. They thought they were measuring their success against yours. But what they didn't realize is that you were never in the same game. You were playing a whole different level, a level they could never even dream of reaching. Their attempts to keep you in their shadow have failed. They are left scrambling, trying to catch up with a version of you they couldn't even recognize when they saw you rise. They wanted to be your opponent, but they never stood a chance. You didn't need to prove anything to them. Your results did that for you. They thought they were keeping score, but the scoreboard was never in their favor, it was always in yours. Every victory, every silent achievement, every quiet moment of growth has been a victory for you. And now, as they look at you, as they try to face you, they find that they've been left behind in the dust. They are trying to measure themselves against a version of you that no longer exists, while you've already evolved into someone who cannot be touched. Your growth wasn't just physical. It was mental, emotional, spiritual. It was a complete transformation that they couldn't foresee, a transformation that's rendered their opinions, their mockery, and their doubts utterly irrelevant. You've become a force to be reckoned with, a force that doesn't need to shout for attention, a force that doesn't need to prove anything. You simply are. As you stand in this new chapter of your life, chosen one, it's crucial to understand the significance of your evolution. You've outgrown the need for external validation. No longer do you need the approval of others to recognize your worth. Your success, your power, your presence, these are not reliant on the fleeting acknowledgement of those who once mocked you. You've evolved beyond that. You've transcended the need to prove anything. You've reached a place where your mere existence speaks volumes, where your actions, your results, and your presence speak louder than any word ever could. Your enemy, once confident in their superiority, is now left standing at the edges of your success, looking in from the outside. They cannot touch you. They cannot reach you. They cannot even comprehend the depth of what you've become. They are now stuck in a place of their own making, unable to accept the truth: you are untouchable. Not because of past victories, but because you have become a force that doesn't need to be validated. Your transformation has been so profound, so complete, that you've transcended the need to ever explain, defend, or justify your existence. You no longer need their approval because you've found your own. You've recognized your worth, and in doing so, you've become invincible. While they are left staring at the proof of their own failure, at the immense transformation that has taken place right before their eyes, they are powerless to stop it. Your growth has exposed their inadequacies, and now all they can do is watch as you continue to rise. Your success doesn't need to be acknowledged by them. It is acknowledged in every step you take, in every moment of quiet strength, in every achievement that you quietly stack up day by day. You are now the living embodiment of a truth they never understood. Silence and focus lead to transformation. While they were busy mocking, gossiping, and projecting their insecurities onto you, you were busy turning your challenges into triumphs. And now you are untouchable, not because of the past, but because you have built something far more powerful, a future they will never be a part of. And now, chosen one, it's time for you to step forward into the next phase of your journey. This isn't just about your past achievements. This is about the future you are creating, one where nothing and no one can stop you. Your journey has only just begun, and the real story of your power is unfolding right now. If this message resonates with you, if you feel the weight of this truth deep in your heart, then I invite you to take action. Declare your readiness for transformation. Type 777 inches the comments as a symbol of your commitment to the next level of your journey. This number is not just a symbol. It's your declaration that you have outgrown the old limitations, the old battles, and the old opponents. You are stepping into a new era of growth, where you are not only the chosen one, but the undeniable force that no one can ignore. But don't stop there. Let this truth spread. Share this message with others who need to hear it. Like, subscribe, and share this with everyone who is ready to step into their own power, who is ready to embrace their own transformation. You are part of a much larger movement now, a quiet rebellion of those who refuse to fold, those who refuse to let their circumstances define their potential. Thank you for being part of this mission, for being part of a force that is waking up and rising up. As you continue to grow, as you continue to evolve, you will become the very beacon of what is possible when you stop caring about the noise and start focusing on your own growth. You are the proof that it's not about competing, it's about creating. You are the proof that quiet strength, patience, and consistent growth lead to the most undeniable success. So keep walking forward. Keep moving in silence, knowing that the world will eventually catch up to the legacy you are building. Let your results speak for themselves. And remember, you've already won. The rest is just the unfolding of a story that no one will ever forget. Now, take a deep breath and embrace the journey ahead. You are unstoppable. You are the living proof that evolution is the greatest form of power. Keep walking in that power, chosen one, because the best is yet to come.